Hello and thanks for joining us for the KREM 2 News Weekend Review. I'm Cody Proctor. Each weekend, we walk you through the headlines from this past week in the Inland Northwest. Let's get started with one of the biggest news stories of the past few days.
After an almost 12-hour search, officials were able to get this suspect in custody after they allegedly shot at law enforcement earlier this morning here on Sand Creek Parkway in Boundary County. Limited information has been released at this time by officials, but here is what we know so far. According to authorities, the Boundary County Sheriff's Office got a call about a domestic violence incident around 2:30 in the morning. When deputies arrived and started investigating, they were allegedly shot at. No one was hurt in the shooting, but the Sheriff's Office says the suspect left the area and went to Bonners County, which is just down the road, where the suspect was pursued by several law enforcement agencies, including Idaho State Police, Pend Oreille Police Department, and the Bonner County Sheriff's Office. Just before noon, officials say the suspect was in custody. Our reporting partners at the Bonner County Daily Bee report that the suspect was found in Hope, Idaho, which is just across Lake Pend Oreille from Sandpoint. Officials have not released the name or the potential charges against this suspect. We have reached out to the Bonner County Sheriff's Office to see if there's any sort of new information that we could get, and we're waiting to hear back. In Boundary County, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Well, Spokane police are telling us they got a call around 5 a.m. this morning about some kind of domestic violence situation. When they got out here, it was shortly after shots were fired. So again, here's some of the information we got from Spokane Police Department. They say officers received reports of the disturbance at a home on North Cincinnati Street, just off of North Hamilton, around 5 a.m. again this morning. But at a police briefing earlier in the day, SPD said a dangerous struggle then took place involving a weapon, leading to at least one officer shooting at a man. The man, identified as the suspect in the disturbance, was pronounced dead at the scene.
At least one officer used his firearm to protect the community, himself, and the involved parties. All our information at this point is preliminary.
So police said no other officers were injured in this situation here. Police also added that there is no ongoing threat to the community, and what we know now at this particular point is that the Spokane Independent Investigative Response Team is taking over the investigation. So if we get any kind of new details, any new developments from this investigation, we'll be sure to keep you updated across all KREM 2 platforms. But for now, reporting here in the Logan neighborhood, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
More than 12 million people across the United States are affected by intimate partner violence every year. That's according to the National Domestic Violence Hotline website. Here locally, advocacy groups like the YWCA say that they've seen an increase in legal service demands as well. The demand for civil and legal aid has increased by nearly 100% at YWCA Spokane over the last year.
So you can look at it as maybe there's more domestic violence happening, or maybe there's more people reaching out for help.
Hannah Stearns, a senior deputy prosecuting attorney with Spokane County, says although advocacy organizations like YWCA have people reach out for these resources, it doesn't necessarily transfer over to criminal cases due to lack of reporting to law enforcement, as well as victims not wanting to participate in the prosecution process.
These DV cases, we think they're very serious, but people need to be able to reach out for help and not be afraid to reach out for help. And we understand how difficult that can be and how that road is a very steep one.
The National Domestic Violence Hotline website reports that 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men experience some sort of intimate partner violence in their lifetime.
When someone calls 911, they are not calling 911 to be part of the court process. They're calling 911 because they're afraid.
Stearns says not all abuse is physical. Sometimes the abuse can come from withholding finances, tracking a partner with their phone location, or it can be emotional abuse as well.
It's a power and control dynamic that is what is most prevalent in an intimate partner relationship, where one partner wants to control more and more pieces of another person's life.
The prosecuting office says they see these sort of cases daily and take everyone seriously regardless of its severity.
In the cases that I have worked on, often people feel like they're not going to be believed. A lot of times the scenarios we have are he said, she said. That's a pretty classic term that we use, but it's, one person's word against another. And so it's very easy for people to believe they're not going to be believed.
YMCA Spokane tells KREM 2 they hold legal clinics every Friday from 9 a.m. to noon where people can come and ask questions.
There are resources for help, and there is help out there, and we would just encourage folks who are experiencing abuse to reach out for that.
In Spokane, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
As we go to break, here's a check of your weekend forecast. Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Weekend Review. It's been a busy week across the inland Northwest, and we want to help catch you up on some stories you might have missed.
USL Spokane ownership listed low attendance, lack of community engagement, and travel expenses as reasons for the team ceasing operations. But it's not just Spokane who's impacted. Many in the Spokane community have embraced Zephyr FC from the beginning, including Spokane Soccer Show podcast host Benji Wade.
I was very bullish when I saw 5,000 people show up on day one. But by the end of season one, I was concerned. But this hurts everybody. Everybody wanted this to work.
Wade is well versed in collegiate and professional soccer in the region and says these issues are not unique to Spokane.
I talk to supporters groups all over the country that have Super League teams in their town. And they're like, wow, I hope our owners are okay with only 300 or 400 people showing up for some of these games. And that's just a trend line that was, I think, always going to be like tough for every market.
The Gainbridge Super League is a Division I league, the highest level of professional classification in the United States, which mandates more pay and production value. That, plus the travel costs of Zephyr FC being the only team on the West Coast, exceeded the amount of revenue the club was bringing in, even in some of the club's best moments, like their 4-0 win over Brooklyn last week.
Some brilliant individual play and a team that was just like really clicking and had been for weeks leading up to that game, just in great form. And there were, 1,200 people there? It doesn't take a lot of mass ability to be like, oh, this can't be penciling out.
But the problem goes much deeper than the league. It's a challenge for women's soccer, and it's been a historic challenge for women's sports.
When we had the Seattle Sounders come to town, they could have sold a stadium out twice. And then Rain FC came to town with players like Jess Fishlock, and they were getting similar numbers of fans that we get to Zephyr games.
Despite Zephyr FC folding, USL Spokane says in a statement that this is not the end of women's soccer in Spokane, and that they will, quote, continue exploring ways to ensure women's soccer remains an active and visible part of the inland Northwest. We'll continue to keep you updated on the future of women's soccer here in Spokane. That's all for sports.
We got 1, 2, 3.
Danielle Circotti with the Yakima Immigration Response Network has had a busy week.
28, 29.
Each sheet she counts represents a family forever changed by ICE.
These are the current ones. These are the ones I'm working on right now.
At the beginning of this month, videos of ICE sightings started popping up more frequently on Facebook. Here's one of ICE making the rounds on May 6th in Toppenish, then the next day making an arrest in Grandview. ICE was then in Yakima on the 13th, making an arrest on the east side of town.
Wait, all of them.
Someone filmed ICE again on the 18th, arresting someone in downtown Yakima.
Almost 20 people have been arrested in the last week.
We found these examples aren't one-offs. New immigration data shows a surge in ICE activity this year, up 190% in eastern Washington compared to last year. Advocates say ICE has also changed tactics by waiting for people outside of the Yakima County Courthouse.
They're going in and they're doing their hearing, whatever it is, and then when they walk out, they're being taken. So that's what's happening now.
Esta fue la camioneta.
Suspected ICE vehicles parked outside have also been posted on social media. Xochitl Lopez with Communities for Our Colleges says her team has been busy double-checking those sightings.
When we saw here in Yakima, we sent some volunteers to try to verify that this information is correct, is fake.
Whether they're able to verify ICE presence or not, Lopez says people are scared.
It's hard to listen to this story that the people have afraid to go to buy used food for the kids.
We partner with a local food bank.
Back at Danielle Circotti's house, she tries to help torn-apart families with the essentials.
Anytime we meet with a family that's had a family member detained, we bring them a food box just to help the family out, because ICE always targets the breadwinner. If they choose to self-deport and the family is leaving, 4 or 5 people, we'll give them 4 or 5 suitcases.
Immigrant advocacy group leaders say the best way forward is not to hide in fear, but to educate yourself on Know Your Rights. In Yakima, Sharon Yu, King 5 News.
Thanks for joining KREM 2 News this weekend. I'm Cody Proctor. Right now, we're taking a look back at some of the news stories from the past week.
The world's biggest soccer tournament is almost here, and Spokane authorities say preparation is already underway. On Tuesday night, Spokane County Commissioners unanimously accepted a $726,000 grant from the Department of Homeland Security to help boost security capabilities ahead of the FIFA World Cup. While Seattle will host matches, Egypt's national soccer team will be based in Spokane as they prepare for games on the west side. Additionally, local leaders say Spokane could still see an increase in tourism, travel, and regional activity connected to the event. The funding will help cover overtime costs for regional response teams traveling to Seattle and pay for new equipment for the Spokane County Sheriff's Office. That includes an agile robot designed to scout potentially dangerous or explosive situations before deputies move in. The county is also purchasing a long-range acoustic device, or LRAD, which can broadcast emergency messages over large crowds during critical incidents. The move comes just weeks after Spokane City Council approved another $200,000 investment in new emergency communications equipment for the fire department. City leaders say that technology will help local, state, and federal agencies stay connected during large-scale events or emergencies, including World Cup-related operations. Together, the upgrades are part of a broader effort to make sure the Inland Northwest is ready if anything goes wrong during one of the world's largest sporting events. Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
These new security fences are now wrapping around the stadium, and if you look through the fence there, you might notice that lumen is starting to disappear from some of the signage out here. These sign changes are part of FIFA's rules, so during the tournament, sponsorship names are not allowed, so Lumen Field will temporarily become Seattle Stadium. Construction crews have been here all morning, really continuing to work. They've been moving in as Seattle gets ready for the World Cup. The new fencing is just one part of this nearly $20 million transformation happening around the stadium. And even with all the construction, fans we talked to say the World Cup excitement is really starting to build.
I think it's cool that it's representing the city and, making it bigger than, what people might know it as today.
I'm excited to see the changes, right? We're already seeing them come into play. Excited to see what else they do, here in Pioneer Square, down in Soto.
A brand new natural grass pitch replacing the stadium's artificial turf has already been installed, and next, crews will begin putting up vehicle barriers around the stadium to help protect fans during World Cup matches. With less than a month of construction to go, officials say there are still a lot more changes to come, both inside and outside the stadium, before the World Cup arrives here in Seattle next month. Reporting in Seattle, Savannah Welch, King 5 News.
The same way many baristas use beans from overseas, knitters use material from all over the world to make their creations.
Quite a bit of it, actually.
Like here at Spokane's Paradise Fibers. And right now,
we import yarn.
The business isn't always feeling like paradise.
Some spinning wheels.
For owner,
the spinning fiber that we sell here.
Travis Romine. He says having to adapt to Trump administration tariffs across multiple countries has proven difficult.
Sometimes we pay more than we think we're going to pay, and it shows up, and then we got to raise the price on our customers, or we buy something and then the price goes down because the tariffs change.
In February, the Supreme Court ruled the tariffs exceeded the president's authority and remanded the question of refunds to a lower court.
The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing.
Despite the decision, the process has been slow and the tariffs are still in effect, with still no end date in sight. The Association for Washington Businesses released a statement at the time of the court's ruling that among a state employer survey, 54% of business owners reported tariffs hurting their business. 34% also reported supply chain disruptions, leaving employees to absorb the higher costs without passing them on to their customers. Romine says the past holiday season, the cost of a shipment from Canada gave him pause.
It was $1,000 worth of gear, and we paid $500 for fees and tariffs on that,
forcing him to make a tough decision.
We had to shut that vendor down. We couldn't get anything more from them.
Romine says the frustration led him to start manufacturing wood products in-house, including their own spinning wheel, in an effort to try and keep costs down.
We're one of the few shops in the nation that's actually manufacturing products, tools for fiber artists here in our shop.
He says it was a way to keep his business going without having to raise prices for his customers, hoping the tariffs go away sooner than later. But for now,
we're really doubling down on it, with all the tariffs and stuff and the uncertainty of what's going to happen in the future.
Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 News. You're watching the Week in Review, where we bring you some of the biggest news stories of the past week.
The first Kendall Yards night market has kicked off for the season, and I talked to some vendors who were setting up, and they say despite a rise in price for products as well as inflation, that they're making cuts and making it work for their customers.
From cookies and fresh squeezed lemonade to the scent of lavender, there's plenty to experience at the Kendall Yards night market.
Everyone always tells us that we are underpriced.
But I'm told vendors are making the most of their dollar this season, like the owner of Blue Truck Treats, Dale Haas.
We keep everything cheaper. We make smaller cookies. We used to do a baker's dozen, now we do just a dozen because of the cost.
CBS reports inflation rose to its highest in April since 2023, and research from a retail analyst notes inflation has surged by 3.3% in the last year.
Coffee's gone up, garlic, pepper has gone like quadrupled.
And Casey Bowie, who's been making his own gourmet pepper sauce since 1995, says he's seen some setbacks just this week.
We just actually had to do a price increase, a wholesale price increase on everything like just this week.
Jackie Ambriola owns Our Little Lavender Company and drives from Northport to Spokane for the Kendall Yards night market. She says they are making the price hikes work.
We actually limit more markets that we do. So we did cut back markets this year because of the gas and because of just the cost of.
But this one made the list.
This one is top of the list. Yeah, it's a great market.
Other vendors say quality products are more important than ever as high prices persist.
We had to raise our creamy specialty drinks by about $1.
Still, they say support from their Spokane customers keeps them going.
People say, oh, it's just lemonade, but there's so much that goes on behind the scenes.
For now, I'm reporting in Kendall Yards. Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Keep it here for more news and weather updates throughout the weekend. And don't forget, you can watch our latest newscasts anytime on the KREM 2 app. Just scan the QR code on your screen to watch for free. I'm Cody Proctor. Thanks for watching the KREM 2 News Week in Review.